am Zuckuss. And I am 4-LOM. 4-LOM, if you're nasty. Okay, people, welcome back to another Fwoosh review. Today, let's take a look at this Hasbro box with some Star Wars graphics on it. No, this is the Hasbro Star Wars Black Series 40th Anniversary of Empire Strikes Back Bounty Hunters set. On the front, we see the vintage card backs with the names flipped around, and they actually explain that on the back. Long story short, well, okay, paragraph short, back when Kenner originally did these in the early 80s, they mixed the names of 4-LOM and Zuckuss up on the cards, and then it wasn't caught for several years.
Now you can get this new 4-LOM action figure free for 5 proofs of purchase from any Star Wars action figures.
New Zuckuss, AT-AT Commander, and other action figures, each sold separately from Kenner's Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back collection.
And then on the side we see a pretty promotional shot of 4-LOM. On the other side there's here is Zuckuss, and on the other side is 4-LOM. Yes, all for the sake of a joke, this is going to get confusing as hell. On the bottom includes 2 figures, 2 accessories. On the top, the Star Wars Black Series logo. And like all the 40th anniversary stuff, it's on a vintage card back, which should be inside this, I say protective box. Amazon sent this, and the box didn't hold up very well. Don't get me wrong, I've seen worse of people's stuff just stepped on and crushed. Oh, but yeah, it did a good job of protecting the actual packaging. Hell, those are so minty, I'm almost tempted not to open them. But you know I'm gonna. And I actually remember this back in the day, them mixing the names up. But even as a 5-year-old or 6-year-old or however old I was at the time, I somehow knew that the names were swapped. Maybe because 4-LOM seems like a droid designation, or maybe there was a book to go along with it, some kind of, or magazine, something. And this is a very cool homage to that by Hasbro. And then on the back it shows Wave 1, I think it is, of the Empire Strikes Back 40th Anniversary series. And while the vintage cards are a nice draw, I love these things. It's so nostalgic. I don't usually collect in the package, but for these, I do. But on these, the figures are unique too because the paint jobs on them are a callback to those original Kenner colors. And even that was a thing I didn't know I needed until San Diego gave us the Kenner colors for Boba Fett. Was it last year, year before, sometime? But oh, there's some damage, and that makes me feel even better about opening. Oh no! You know Uncle Robo has another set coming from Hasbro Pulse? This one's pristine. Oh, and getting them out of the package, seeing them, holding them, it's a weird contrast of modern sculpting that's accurate to the movie, but that nostalgia tug of the original colors from back in the day. Deep down in the dark recesses of my brain, there's part of me telling me this is accurate to the movie, but I know it's not. And that part of me telling me that is 6-year-old Robo going, oh my god, look at that. That's the second time I've referred to myself like that. I gotta stop doing that. Zuckuss, it has the colors of the vintage figure. It has that kind of gunmetal look to it. Fairly plain when it comes to the base figure itself, but that's just a callback to those vintage days. Do have this mark on the chest, but get up to the head and there's the blue eyes and the red nose and the little silver. Just some silver detail to the midsection with the wires running through, and really, paint-wise, that's about it. But that base color, it does have some metallic flake to it, giving it a robotic look. Then when it comes to 4-LOM, this is getting more difficult as I go. It has all those nice new details, but it brings back that lighter color of the robe itself and the darker color of the overlay. And then up at the head, the silver eyes and the gunmetal mouth nose apparatus. I still haven't figured out if this is growing out of him or this was something he needed and his body or skin just... But in this case, there is a wash back here on these pouches to bring out the details. I wish that carried on over. Well, it looks like they tried on this side, but it's missing on this side. The front does carry that dry brush all the way through. Again, bringing out the detail, which is kind of weird because they didn't do that for... Which one is it? Zuckuss. Here's the first release of 4-LOM. You can see the shiny skin. It's smooth, but it has some patina to it, this other color brought in. And it's down in the recesses, so it gives it a nice realistic look. That is accurately completely missing on the 40th anniversary edition. The movie 4-LOM has translucent green eyes with some gold paint on top of it. Here, they painted over it. Again, just like Kenner would have, they painted over it. You can't see through that. But now that I'm looking, they didn't paint the individual wires on the movie version. It's just that same silver. There may be some dust and dirt blown in there, but otherwise it's fairly plain. And the same goes for 4-LOM / Zuckuss. The darker colors, more movie accurate. You have more wash to the overall figure. Now don't get me wrong, there is a wash to the 40th too, but it's not as heavy. And something else I've noticed, on the first version, get your sleeve up there, they actually painted the skin tone, and even that has a wash under there. But on the 40th anniversary, maybe because it's a Kenner homage, they didn't paint the arm that you can't see. It's just the same plastic color as the glove. What'd they do to the pants? Oh, no, same thing. Just sculpted, but no wash to it. It's just odd that they didn't leave this overlay piece plain too. It's like they couldn't help themselves. We have to bring the detail out with some paint. Not that I'm gropping. It looks cool. Because this, while not accurate to the movie, could still be used as a realistic piece. Or hell, just another dude from Zuckuss's planet. Here's Zuckuss and Puckus. I don't know. You thought I was gonna go with an F, didn't you? I already did individual reviews for Zuckuss and 4-LOM, but since I like these figures so much, I'm gonna go through Articulation anyway. There is a, looks like a dumbbell joint, maybe a ball joint at the neck up under the head, but you can look up, you can look down, swivel. So much tilt for a droid. It does use the new C-3PO type arms for the shoulders, well, the arms really. So you get swivel all the way around, you get hinge out, there's a bicep swivel, tiny bit of elbow, enough. Trigger finger goes up and down, yes. Swivel, quite a bit of movement at the mid-torso. But get down to the legs, just because of the design itself, the armor coming up like it does, you get to here, and here, and here. Single knee, and you can actually see the detent at work here. It gets to not quite 90, but it goes the other direction. Does that count as full range of movement? I don't know if I've noticed that, or it's just been a while since I've messed with a protocol droid. Well, at least the base body of a protocol droid. But those twist on the outside too. And then at the ankle, it goes back forward a little bit, and then forward facing pin for rocker. For this guy, he has some neck movement too, but because of this sculpted down piece in the back, can't really look up. There's some down. Tilt feels sticky. You go to position and it pops back. Swivel, you can get the arm around to that far, even with the cloth robe over it. Hinges up, there's a bicep. Double elbow, which we don't see a lot in this line, but because it's covered by cloth, they like to sneak that in there sometimes. Comes up most of the way. Swivel at the wrist and hinge side to side, but as we determined in the other video, Zuckuss is a lefty. There's his trigger finger, and that goes up and down. Overlay kind of gets in the way, but there is a ball at the waist. Can get some hula hoop, but that doesn't get in the way of the leg coming all the way up. Back, all the way out. That's better than Spider-Man. Swivel at the thigh. Double knee. Can he do? Oh yeah, easy. Boop, 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 boop. Hinge at the ankle goes back. Forward facing pin for rocker. For accessories, Zuckuss comes with his long rifle. We've seen this several times before, but again, this being a vintage throwback, there is no paint, no nothing to this. This is just cast in straight black plastic. Because comparing to the first version, this one, well, this doesn't really have any paint either, but it's a lighter color. So it is different a little bit. And then for 4-LOM, same weapon reuse. Again, no paint apps to it because, where'd it go? The first version had a wood grain brown look right here in the middle, and then some dustiness to match the rest of the figure. But I'm always surprised at how agile the droid figure actually is. I mean, he can hold the weapon at rest beautifully. And even though it doesn't look like the most comfortable of poses, he can go for a shooting stance. And then 4-LOM, the same thing. The grip has always been a little big. You have to kind of rotate it in there. And he holds it as kind of a shooting from the hip, but because of the up and down hinge, you can go for a straight out shot. And then with double elbows, it is simple for him to go into a two-handed pose. Standing side by side, as we've already determined with the first reviews of these figures, their heights are accurate from what we see in the movie. And again, even as a kid, just seeing the movie, what little information Empire Strikes Back gave us, I always felt as these two being a pair. Maybe it's because of their round heads, their big eyes, their similar features, at least from the neck up. That and they were standing beside each other. And to a 6-year-old, that's all you need. Oh, those guys are a team. Again, here they are next to their movie-accurate counterparts. For 4-LOM, I prefer this version with its deep recessed copper color. It just adds realism to it. But for Zuckuss, there's something about this lighter color that just does it for me. And I say that like one of these is getting thrown in a trash bin or something. No, this is main display. These are going to be somewhere. Maybe over on my alternate version shelf. Here they are next to the Black Series Boba Fett, appropriately smaller. But since I didn't get an opener for the San Diego Comic-Con Kenner Boba Fett, I had this custom commissioned by Vaz_Pix. I had to have one on the shelf. I do have places for this. They'll just be off by themselves. And then here they are next to the Black Series IG-88 and Bosk. And we all know who the out-of-scale character here is. And there's more action than either of them saw in the movies. So at the end of the day, it's a very interesting set. If you're just going for movie accurate and that's all you care about on your shelf, then you should already be happy. But if you have any nostalgia for those old card backs or the vintage colors from the Kenner days, then you may not want to pass this up. We already knew the figures were good and way more posable than these characters probably even deserve. But that's an awesome thing. There's nothing wrong with that. And for me, as a kid, I spent many a day, many an evening, many a Saturday morning stacking cardboard boxes, making Death Stars and ships, and putting my figures all throughout, just having a good old time. And getting the 40th anniversary line, and especially getting figures in those vintage colors, it just hits me right here. I can't help it. It's a subline I didn't know I needed until I saw the San Diego Boba Fett, and I thought, I wonder if they're going to do any more figures like that. Ba-bam! There they are, before I can even think too hard about it. And now I kind of want to see more. That's actually a good list to make sometime. This is still available on Amazon.com for $50, which I feel, given the price of the other 40th anniversary figures, it's $10 too expensive. I mean, really, the only difference you get is the outer kind of protective box that I'm sure some people would display that way, not wanting to cut the tape, but most people are going to take it out of there and display either the cards or the figures. I'm completely happy with these. I would have liked to save $10, but so if you enjoyed the review, comment, like, subscribe. Much love to the plus. If you're interested in seeing videos early or just in a position to help out the channel, patreon.com. But wherever you may be watching this, I'll always catch you on the Fwoosh. I actually had to go back because I knew I had done voices for these guys during the first reviews, but I had completely forgotten that I'd given him kind of a, we're gonna go out and get some bounties.